All right, here we go. America Plus is live in 5, 4, 3, 2. Do you know what art is? What's up, everyone? It's America Plus. I'm your host, Cole McCormick. It's another week, another episode. What's going on, everybody? It's Sunday, August 3rd, 9:17 in the p.m. What's going on, everybody? Happy to be here. It's a beautiful day to be alive, folks. I am so happy to see you here all right now. It's a beautiful time to be alive, and I just can't believe that I'm here right now. Last week, I took a break from the podcast just because I wanted to. I needed to. I wasn't home. I was out of town, technically. Last week, I took my first business trip with this new job of mine. Now, a part of this new job, so I'm making car keys, right? I make car keys at Costco now. Okay, that's like a weird job right now. It's like a random job, but it's chill, it's fun, it's not stressful, and it's like allegedly good paying. You know, I get like a little bit of commission. But pretty much I was in Bakersfield last week, and that's why I was off last week, because I was driving home from Bakersfield, which, if you don't know anything about Bakersfield, there's no reason to know anything about Bakersfield. There's nothing going on in Bakersfield. No one bought any fucking keys. Nobody needed it. Nobody wanted it. The keys were too expensive. $65 for a key was too expensive, I guess. So it was a very interesting experience, and I was just tired. I was like away. The whole thing, it was like a road trip. I like stayed in an Airbnb, and my boss paid for it, which was nice of him. So that's like, it was like a good thing. It was like an annoying thing. It was a very interesting thing. But my first business trip, which is cool, I guess. But I think more will come from that. I think I need to do the podcast. Like, I don't want to just like skip the podcast anytime I'm out of town, you know. But last week I felt like I needed to, you know. But with that, man, what I want to talk about this week. So with that, last week, a lot of things happened last week when I was out of town. I mainly want to talk about what happened at Comic-Con. Okay, we got to talk about George Lucas, and we need to talk about art. Okay, we need to talk about George Lucas's art museum. If you didn't know, George Lucas is opening up a narrative art museum in Los Angeles, right by USC. It's called the Lucas Narrative Art Museum. And this is going to be pretty much his collection of art. Okay, so ever since the 70s, ever since he became rich, he has been an art collector, and he's using all of his money, and he's using all of his art, and he's opening up a museum, which is, I don't know, I feel like that's like one of the better things to do with your money, right? And he was at Comic-Con, and he was presenting it. It was sort of like a show and tell of like what it's going to be about. And it was him. So the panel, right? The panel was George Lucas, writer-director Guillermo del Toro, who did Hellboy. He did Labyrinth. He's doing a new Frankenstein for Netflix. Guillermo del Toro. And then Doug Chang, which is the most random guy ever. But Doug Chang, he was like one of the main visual effects guys for the Star Wars prequels movies. And if you watch like the behind the scenes of the Star Wars prequels, like you definitely recognize his face. Doug Chang is like heavily prominent in those behind the scenes docs. So I knew who he was. And they were presenting what the museum was and what the purpose of art was. And that's what I want this week to be about. You know, with all the chaos going on, with all the stress that people might be feeling, whether it be politics or economy or relationships or, you know, just daily life, you know, grieving for myself as well. I want this week to be about sort of like back to basics, and what do we have control over? What can we do as people? Like, and how can we move forward with the best beliefs as a society and as individuals? Okay. And art is how we get there. Art and creativity is how we step forward, is what we should step into as we step forward. And I just thought this was really a really inspiring time from George Lucas, because, you know, the guy made Star Wars, you know, and he knows what art is. Like, Star Wars is not some like derivative of anything, you know. It was inspired by a few things, but it's not a derivative. It's incredibly original. And along with that, he took George Lucas took so many different aspects of Earth's history, of different societies, of different religions, and he combined them into one beautiful story that we know as Star Wars. And now he's taking similar principles and he's using his art, the art that he's been inspired by, and he's creating something that we can all step into. This museum is supposed to be opening in 2026. There's been some delays due to construction and permits in LA and California and yada yada. But it's supposed to be opening up next year, 2026, and I need to be going. Like this is right up my alley. You know, I don't go to too many museums. When I visited New York, I went to the Met, of course, and I love the Met. But I don't go to a lot of museums. I need to go to more. This is one that I absolutely am planning on going to. And what I want to share, so I have a clip, and I want to talk about like the museum. I want to go through some art pieces because if you're listening to the audio, I got an art piece from the museum. Like I'm like totally ripping off someone else's art for my artwork, for the episode's artwork. But pretty much, so George Lucas, he was at Comic-Con. He was talking about art, and he was talking about like the purpose of art, right? And so this is like a minute and a half of him talking about what the museum is about and what is art.
I think it's more about a connection, an emotional connection with the work, not how much it cost or what celebrity did it or whatever. It's more a personal thing. And I don't think it's anything that anybody else can tell you. That's art, that's not art. It doesn't work that way. If you have an emotional connection, then it's art. If you don't, then move on to the next painting. And it's the idea that people can tell you what art is and talk about it. I've discovered just from my experience of making movies and things that, other people's opinions don't mean much. The only thing that really means something is what you do and what you feel about it. And then if you see that other people react to it in a very emotional way, then you say, well, I did my job, that was good. But when people come who say they're experts and they say, oh, that's not art, that's not this, that's tough. And I've worked with hundreds of illustrators in my life, and they're all great, but they don't get recognized for anything. So this is sort of a temple to the people's art.
The temple to the people's art. Hurrah! Huzzah! To the people! Art for the people! Huzzah! Thank you, George Lucas. Thank you for doing this. I love what he had to say there, man, because when it comes to like art and like the state of Hollywood, right? Like we're not making art anymore. We're doing remakes, we're doing reboots, we're doing live action reboots, we're doing and then all the original stuff is like shit, you know? Like Disney's not producing anything fun anymore. Like when was the last good Disney movie? Really? Okay, when was the last good Pixar movie? Really? You know, the last thing that I can really say Pixar did something good was the movie Soul in 2020. But nobody fucking saw that. Nobody saw Soul. Soul's really good. It's with Jamie Foxx. It's about this guy who plays jazz. It's awesome. George Lucas talking about art is a really interesting dichotomy because here you have one of the most famous artists. You know, he makes the most famous intellectual property, the most famous story, the most like piercing, culturally piercing experience, which is Star Wars. And he also sells it for one of the largest prices anything has ever been worth. He sells Star Wars, he sells Lucasfilm for $4 billion. That's like as much as Pixar was worth when Disney bought Pixar. And people sort of judge George. People say George made a mistake by selling Star Wars. And there's a whole conversation about that. And, you know, there's a conversation to be had like, how does one individual's art continue on when it's that big, and what is the place for it within like the business realm of it, and it's like a really interesting, the story of Lucasfilm and Star Wars and Disney is a really interesting case study of how you could do it, of how you should not do it, and we're able to see the mistakes made. So hopefully in the future, um, businesses are able to not make similar mistakes as Disney has with Star Wars, because it's pretty barren right now. But what George Lucas says about art, okay, this is like him saying like it's not about people's opinions, right? And that's like one of the things that drags Star Wars down, because it's everyone's opinion that sort of makes Star Wars, right? The fans for decades, the fans hated George Lucas with what he did with the prequels, okay? The original trilogy comes out and it's awesome. But then the prequels comes out and then everyone's like, "Fuck you, George. Like, we hate you. You ruined our childhood. You didn't do anything right. Who the fuck is Jar Jar? We hate you, man." And then that generation grows up, and I'm in there and I love the prequels. I grew up with the prequels. I'm Anakin Skywalker, dude. I identified with the guy, to a certain degree. And um that cycle happened, and then he sells Star Wars and everyone's like, "Whoa, what's going to happen?" And everyone loves Disney in this time. Disney can't do any wrong in 2015, and now we're in the middle of a new cycle of the art. And Disney's screwing up, and people are saying Disney ruined my childhood. Disney ruined Star Wars. And it's people's opinions that are like sort of guiding the thing. And there's a lot of instances of movies and brands where the backlash or people's opinions online can influence the product. And that is a really difficult place to be in when you're in charge of making the thing. One of the better things about the Star Wars sequel, and I'm not going to talk about Star Wars too much. Like I'm trying to talk about like how the things that George Lucas just said about not caring about people's opinions, that is low key what Disney was doing when they first started making the new movies. Um, they wanted different directors for different like vibes and different tones. And when they brought on J.J. Abrams for The Force Awakens, that's a very specific tone. It's a very specific feeling of a movie. J.J. Abrams knows how to make a good movie in terms of like a reboot. He's sort of been like the reboot guy. He did Star Trek. He did Mission Impossible 3. And then you bring in this other guy named Rian Johnson, and Rian Johnson kills everything, right? I'm not a big fan of Rian Johnson, but that's a very specific tone. And Disney allowed the artist to make what they wanted to make. And so in retrospect, I can honestly be thankful that at least there was a period of time when Disney was willing to let the artist do what they wanted to. So they were aligned with George Lucas there. And, there was a giant backlash with episode 8 and Rian Johnson. And then the fans were just chiming in. We didn't like this. We didn't like this. And then Disney tries to revert everything. And it just turns into shit, And we've been in this weird, choppy waters ever since then. And people just trying to make the fans happy. And that's what a lot of movies are. And that's what a lot of art is, And that's what a lot of creators, quote unquote creators do, If you're not supposed to care about what people say about your art, but you're also posting online and all the advice from the social media companies and YouTube, they tell you to listen to your audience and to let your audience tell you what you should make. Okay, so there's like a disconnect going on. You're not supposed to care what people say, or you're not supposed to care about people's opinions about your art. But if you're living in the 21st century and online, you're supposed to allow your audience to tell you what to do and what to make. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And so there's just this giant chasm that's going on right now, and people are trying to find their way in it, me included. I'm trying to find my way throughout all this. This is connected to what I'm doing with my movie. So the last episode I talked about me making a movie. This is my first feature film. And I'm inspired by what Lucas has to say about art, you know. and he was talking about how art doesn't have to speak to you, and you don't have to resonate with art. If the art doesn't resonate to you, you can just move on. But within this current era, if the art doesn't resonate with you, then the art piece is a Nazi. You know what I mean? If the art piece doesn't resonate with you, then the art is wrong. Like, we're in a situation where the algorithm is saying the art is wrong, which is insane. And people are rage baiting, and people are just, just saying whatever they want for clicks, and it's ridiculous, And there's a lot less. I mean, it's this weird thing where there's more art, but there's less art. Like, I don't really know where the art is, because when it comes to this museum, and let me show you this museum. Let me pull up. Let me replace the screen real quick. So when it comes to this Lucasfilm Art Museum, I'm looking at a bunch of different art pieces right now, and they are. I guess this episode is better for like the video version, but pretty much George Lucas has these countless paintings, and these are all beautiful paintings, dude. Like, these are so cool. And just to be able to look at these, and I think most of these are like American art. You got this one photo of this of the all these women in this factory making chocolate bunnies. You got this. They're not all Portrait of America. Wait, opponent of Nazism from the Portrait of America. That's interesting. Oh my God, what I just do? I just ruined it, everything. I just went to a new page. There's just interesting art pieces here, and some of these are controversial. You got a painting that's going to be in this museum that has George Washington as a black man. And wasn't that a discussion about AI? Like, Google's AI made the founding fathers black, and people are criticizing that as being woke AI. But here we have a freaking. Let me go back to the homepage. This image was made in 1975 from Robert Colescott, George Washington Carver crossing the Delaware. Crossing the Delaware, page from an American history textbook, 1975, acrylic on canvas. And so, wait, is that a different George Washington? But regardless, this is like the same image as George Washington crossing the Delaware, and this is like controversial. This is not pure Americana, but is it Americana? It seems Americana to me. This is an interesting art piece. This is not prompted. And this is not influenced by people's. I mean, maybe it's influenced by people's politics, but it's not forced on you. Like, I think what's going on with like AI and algorithms and people making things for the algorithms and people prompting things, and it's almost like the image is being forced on you, and no one wants that. No one wants the thing to be forced upon you. And maybe that's why people were upset when Google's AI made black founding fathers, because it was sort of being forced on you. But if an individual made an image, made a painting or drawing of black founding fathers, then that wouldn't have been as controversial, the website sucks. So George Lucas needs to fix his freaking website. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. George Lucas needs to get a better website, first of all. The thing just crashed out on me, dude. If an individual made a painting of Black George Washington, would it be that controversial? I think the reason why the AI making it is controversial because it's being forced upon you. Art is passive to the viewer. Art is inviting. It's like this weird thing where it's inviting and it's passive. The person who made it wants to invite everyone to see it. But if you're not vibing with it, that's okay, and you can move on. And so that's where I'm trying to figure out my approach to my movie, to my feature film. And I think I'm going to call the movie Pure Love. It's the story of my parents falling in love in Las Vegas in 1990s. Pure love. I don't want it to be a derivative, and I don't want to be lazy with it. I spoke about maybe using AI for recreating the youth of my parents. I don't know what that's going to be like. I'm not sure if that's really going to be the fit, but I'm just playing with these ideas, this is just where I'm at. I'm sort of talking out loud and I'm trying to air out how I feel about all these. Um I know that so George Lucas in that clip, he said that if you have an emotional connection to it, then that's what art is. Okay. I think that's a really interesting line in the sand when it comes to this discussion of what is art. Because one of the criticisms about AI art is that it's not art. The criticism against AI art is that it's just a computer making it. You know, um, are you able to put emotion? Do you have an emotional connection to a prompt? You know, is that what's going on now? Like we're sort of like what are the boundaries of emotions? I've never been against AI art because I know that someone might prompt something that means something to them, you know, or they might want to make an image that means something to them. They think is cool, they think is beautiful. They think, it's not even about AI art is not about posting it. That's the interesting thing. AI art is not about wanting to like go viral. AI art is about what the person wants to make. And so like that's low key like the most artistic thing ever. And the fact that you can just make something like that, lickety split, and like sure, yeah, like I'll never be able to create depth with my drawings, or I can attempt to have depth within my drawings, but I'll never be able to do what the AI can do. I'll never be able to replicate different styles. I'll never be able to replicate different aesthetics and things like this. And I'll never be able to create a variation of what I'm making within 5 seconds. I'll never be able to do that. And so I am a person who sees value in the AI art because there's still emotion to be expressed. I don't think emotion ceases when you're using Midjourney. And I'm specifically thinking about Midjourney when I'm like thinking about AI art, right? Um it just goes into who the person is and what they're trying to express. And I hope that this museum is able to inspire more people to be creative. And pretty much what I want to share, my message for today for you is like, I want to encourage you to be creative, to be brave enough to be creative within your own life. I am making that leap. I'm doing my best to make that choice. Um, maybe I need to be more consistent with it. Maybe I should have smaller little art projects while I make this big movie. But I know that creativity is how you align yourself with your soul. And that's something that's very true. And I want to encourage you to move towards truth. And to move towards truth is to be creative. And once you express your creativity, then maybe you'll have a better understanding of where you're coming from or how to approach something. I think this is really key, because right now all the algorithms and social medias, they're all about hooking your emotion into something really simple, like somebody getting arrested or somebody getting beat up or somebody being in pain for some reason, somebody going through drama, someone having a story to share with you. Um, but you need to just be in your own zone. What I think when it comes to art, I think it's about being in your own zone. The algorithms don't encourage your own zone. The algorithms encourage you to like grab people and attract people to your zone. But art is about just creating your zone and not being worried if someone's judging it. And that's a really big deal. You know, that's something that's really important for people to remember. And so I just don't want anyone to be in pain. I don't want anyone to feel lost because I believe that moving into your creativity will help you feel found, help you feel seen. And if you were to develop a practice that allows you to be totally honest with yourself and to create whatever you want to create in whatever form that you want, then that is beneficial for not only you, but for Earth and for humanity. And I am proclaiming today that I am doing my best to do that. You know, I've always thought that me doing a podcast was being creative. Me speaking openly and honestly is my art, and having honest conversations is artistic. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Maybe I don't have the best thoughts. Maybe I don't have the best words, but they're mine. I'm not trying to copy anyone. These words are coming from my emotions, from my consciousness. And so I believe it is artistic. You know, and there's been times when I've tried to like surf the algorithm and I didn't feel good. But as I'm speaking to you right now, I do feel good. I feel a little tired from the day. I feel a little tired from the week, but I feel good speaking now. And I know that this is true. And so is Blue. I got Blue over here freaking out on the window. What are you doing, Blue? What are you doing? Yeah, dude. You're bothering me. No, I'm kidding. You're not bothering me. You're not bothering me, Blue. It's okay. You want to be up here? No? Yes? Come up here. No, not on my computer. Up here. Leg. Nope. Oh my God. Holy crap. Did you just ruin my stream? No, you didn't. Okay, good. Anyway. Art is about believing in yourself and not caring about other people's opinions. And you need to be on top of your game and not worry about what other people think of you. This is the way. This is the truth. This is the life. Okay, Papa? Yeah, dude, that's the value I got, dude. That's America Plus. Okay, we're gonna move into the value for value section now. America Plus is a value for value show. What that means is I come on my stream and my feed and I do my best to bring forward a conversation that I think is important for Earth to have. Humanity is going through some wild times. We're going through a shift and I'm here for it. I chose to be on Earth for this wonderful time. And I'm just trying to spread the vibes, you know what I mean? And there's multiple ways that you can support the value that I'm giving through time, talent, and treasure. If you're on Twitter, YouTube, give me a like, subscribe, and give me your retweet. Give me a comment if you want. Along with that, you can also support me financially through multiple ways. I got a PayPal, I got Venmo, I got Cash App, and I also got Bitcoin.
Go to value4value.info for more info, then download the fountain.fm app. It's the best way to support the show.
Bitcoin's my favorite money. Go to download the fountain.fm podcasting app and send me small bits of Bitcoin right now if you're getting any value from this show, if you think there's any value in this conversation. Sending small bits of Bitcoin to each other via value for value and via podcast apps is like the future. And just like, it's fun, dude. It's fun. And I'm going to be reading some boostagrams when you send in a message with some small bits of Bitcoin. It's called a boostagram. And I got 3 of them to share from the last episode. This first one comes in from @ChadF. What up, ChadF? He sends in a little over 1,000 Satoshis. I think he sent in like, I don't know, 1,000 or 1,011. He's talking about last week. He's talking about my movie. He says, cool idea on the movie, but AI versions of your parents might be kind of weird, but still worth exploring. Yes, sir.
It's basically, you put Bitcoin with anything, and all of a sudden, that is more efficient.
Yeah, Chad. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be using AI. That was just like it's a wild idea. Like, what if it becomes real? Like, what if it's so good, I can just recreate my dad? Is my dad even gone? Huh? No. Is my dad even gone? That'd be crazy, right? We got this next boostagram from @Pies. What up, Pies? He sends in 100 Satoshis. What up, Pies? Thank you for that. He sends in his usual beer clashing emoji. Cheers to you, Pies.
Boosting is loving.
Thank you so much, Pies. Love you, dude. And then we got another one from @The Mere Mortals podcast. We got, oops, let me just go into the episode. Kyron sends in 4,000. Okay, this is Kyron Down from the Mere Mortals podcast. They do a podcast every Sunday and Wednesday, I think, usually. He sends in a huge 4,444 Satoshis. Kyron, thank you so much. I think he's going to be on the podcast next week. He says, "Heyo, Cole. Just finished catching up on the episodes that caught my attention. Sounds like a lot is going on. New job, new era, new movie. Much love." Thank you, Kyron.
Boost.
And now, as the French say, it is time for le boost.
Give me this one too. Boostar. Those are the boostergrams, folks. That's everyone who wanted to chime in. Thank you to everyone who donated via Value for Value. If you're getting any value from this podcast, I encourage you to support me financially because, I'm never going to have a sponsor on here. I don't believe in sponsors. I just believe in making content. I just believe in making content. Okay. I just believe in making things that I think are like worth it and having conversations that I think are important to have. And so, that's really where I'm at right now. And I always end the show with a little song, with another Value for Value song. So there's like this new ecosystem opening up that is tied to Value for Value and Bitcoin. There's musicians releasing their songs via Value for Value, and they've hooked up a Bitcoin wallet to their songs. And so I always give the artist a 90% split when I play a song on my podcast. And this song is from a person named Annie Powell. I thought this is a really good vibe. This song is called Wild and Free. It's a really good, interesting vibe. I don't play music like this too often, but I think you'll really like it. This is what art is, wild and free. It's that simple. And so I just want to encourage you again to just dive deep into your creativity, double down on yourself, align your personality with your soul through creativity. That is one of the most monumental truths that is true. Like, you got to just remember that. Okay. So do that, be creative, get some paint and brushes, get your pencils out, just do a little diddle doodle and just have a good time. And I'm going to make a movie. This is Wild and Free by Annie Powell. Enjoy.
Distraction is there at every turn. Dissonance with some Everyone's a critic. Turn away, stay the course. And I'm my own worst critic, and the hardest to ignore. Watch me as I chase a line, the dream I had since I was a child. The secret to live wild and free, be one with the one inside of me. Watch me as I free the bond and live the way and run like wild. The secret is be one with all and live the dream and love it First row seat, and I watch my love unfold. Hidden him, feet on the earth. And of the greatest lessons I had learned, practice hard the golden rule and give it all I have to give. And love most in return. Watch me as I
That's America Plus, bitch. Stay free. Boom, baby. That's America Plus. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That is the show.